Good morning, and thank you for being here. Today I'll be walking you through a strategic action plan to help macro enterprises integrate evaluation into its standards operating procedures. This initiative is designed to support organizational improvement, enhance employee performance, and ensure accountability through data-driven decision-making. As known, recent quality control issues have highlighted the need for a more systematic approach to assessing training outcomes, employee performance, and operational effectiveness. The goal is to move beyond surface-level satisfaction metrics and embed both formative and summative evaluation processes at every level of our operations, from onboarding and training to production quality and strategic planning. Throughout this process, we'll explore evaluation strategies that address employee learning, behavioral change, process improvements, and measurable organizational results. We'll also discuss how to implement these strategies with minimum disruptions and maximum benefit to all stakeholders, especially employees, leaders, and customers. So let's begin by reviewing our objectives and the framework guiding this action plan. We will begin by revisiting the organization's goals for evaluation. Then I'll provide a brief overview of the evaluation framework we'll be using. We'll distinguish between formative and summative assessments and explain how both will be applied. Next, we'll explore the step-by-step strategy to embed evaluation into SOPs, followed by communication strategies to engage stakeholders effectively. I'll share the tools and metrics recommended for tracking progress, a proposed implementation timeline, and finally the expected outcomes. We'll conclude with a brief Q&A session. Learning objectives. We have outlined the 3 core learning objectives for this action plan. These objectives are designed to ensure that macro enterprises can fully integrate evaluation strategies into daily operations in a way that is sustainable and impactful. First, we'll explore evaluation methodologies that go beyond just basic feedback. These include measuring reaction, learning behavior, and results, what's often referred to as Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation. This ensures that we're not just checking boxes, but actually understanding the effectiveness and impact of our training programs at every level of the organization. Second, we'll build a comprehensive evaluation plan that supports both our broader organizational goals, like improved quality control, reduce error rates, and stronger employee performance. This will provide a structured approach to gathering and analyzing the data needed to track progress and drive decisions. Finally, we will look at communication strategies, ways to clearly and consistently share evaluation results across departments up and down the chain of command, and with external stakeholders when necessary. The goal is to foster a culture of transparency and continuous improvement. These objectives are aligned with both the CEO's vision for data-driven decision-making and the HR's team capacity to implement solutions with minimum extra burden. Now we will be providing an overview of the evaluation framework we're embedding into macro enterprises' standard operation procedures. First, we're using both formative and summative assessments. Formative assessments will occur during training sessions, providing feedback to both learners and instructors to ensure content is understood and applied. Summative assessments will be conducted at the end of each training module to evaluate how much was learned and how well it aligns with the intended outcomes. We're also aligning our evaluations with Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation, which ensures a multi-dimensional approach. At the reaction level, we'll assess how employees feel about the training. At the learning level, we'll measure knowledge and skill acquisition. At the behavior level, we'll look at how training is being applied to the job. And at the results level, we'll evaluate the overall impact on production quality, effectiveness, and ultimately consumer satisfaction. This approach ensures that training is not just an event, but a strategic tool that drives performance and aligns with business goals. Now that we have established the goals and objectives of our project, it's important to understand the two primary types of evaluation we'll be integrating into our standard operating procedures: formative and summative. Formative evaluation is ongoing. It's used during the training and process implementation to identify what's working and what's not. Think of it as a way to improve in real time. For example, during the 12-week community college training, formative evaluation might involve weekly feedback surveys or quick skill assessments. Summative evaluation, on the other hand, happens at the end of a program or training. It lets us know whether the intervention was successful. Did it meet the intended goals? For instance, at the end of the 12-week training, a final performance test or job proficiency assessment would be a summative. Using both types ensures that we're not just checking boxes, we're continuously learning, adjusting, and providing value to our stakeholders. To guide our evaluation integration, we'll be using Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation, a gold standard in training and organizational assessments. Level 1, reaction. We'll gather immediate feedback from participants on their training experience. This could be through quick surveys or feedback forms after each course session at the community college. Learning this means how much knowledge was acquired. In our case, the use of quizzes, technical skill assessments, or hands-on practice tests after each module will help us determine if learning objectives are being met. Level 3, behavior. This is all about real-world application. All employees using their new skills on the floor, observation checklists, supervisor evaluations, and peer feedback during the shadow training phase will help us assess this. Level 4, results. Here's where we see the payoff. Are we producing higher quality carburetors? Are error rates down? Is customer satisfaction up? This is where we align evaluation data with business outcomes. This comprehensive model ensures we're evaluating at the individual team and organizational level. While training protocols and some data collection are happening, there's no formal evaluation strategy in place. First, structured evaluations are only lightly used after orientation or safety training. There's no real follow-up on learning, retention, or job application. Data that is collected isn't tracked consistently across departments or linked to any performance benchmarks. The shadow training program, although useful, lacks a consistent method to measure how well employees are performing after training. The checklists are helpful, but not capturing behavior changes or learning. There's no real follow-up on learning, retention, or job application. Data that is collected isn't tracked consistently across departments or linked to any performance benchmarks. The shadow training program, although useful, lacks a consistent method to measure how well employees are performing after training. The checklists are helpful but don't capture behavior changes or learning depth. After critical gap evaluation, there is existing data that isn't used to connect training to business outcomes like error rates, scrap costs, or productivity metrics. Lastly, there's a weak feedback loop. Employees and supervisors aren't systematically involved in reviewing what's working and what's not. These gaps are exactly what our integrated evaluation plan aims to address. The evaluation framework we recommend for macro enterprises at the center of our approach is Kirkpatrick's 4 levels of evaluation: reaction, learning, behavior, and results. To support these efforts, we'll apply both formative assessments and summative assessments. What's critical here is embedding these practices into these standard operating procedures so they're not an afterthought but a natural part of daily operations. Finally, element of the framework is tied directly to macro enterprises' broader goals and stakeholders' expectations, including the CEO's desire for data-backed insight and employee development. Here we explore the data collection methods that will fuel our evaluation system. We start with surveys, which will be used right after training sessions to gather employees' immediate reactions and again periodically to see if knowledge retention and satisfaction persist. Next, observation checklists will be utilized as a part of the shadow training program and as an ongoing monitoring tool. These will ensure consistency and confirm that employees are performing tasks correctly. We'll also use knowledge assessments such as TABE test and course-specific quizzes to measure learning gains in critical areas like math, tool care, and technical drawing. Production metrics from the quality control team include error rates and defect reports will help us evaluate training effectiveness at the organizational level. Employee feedback sessions and focus groups will offer qualitative insights into what's working and where improvements are needed, fostering engagement and ownership. Lastly, we'll recommend leveraging digital tracking tools such as learning management system to consolidate training data and make reporting easier. This ensures that evaluation becomes seamless and not a burden. Highlighting the two core types of evaluation that will be used throughout this project: formative and summative evaluations. Formative evaluations will be an ongoing process. This involves collecting feedback and monitoring performance during the training sessions. It's all about making adjustments and improvements while the program is still in progress, ensuring that any issues are addressed early. We can use feedback from trainers, peer assessments, and employee self-reflection. On the other hand, summative evaluation focuses on the outcomes after training has been completed. This is the end of training assessments where we measure how well employees have learned and how the training impacts their job performance. We will collect data through post-training quizzes, observation of real-world performance, and comparison of metrics like product quality and productivity pre- and post-training. Both evaluation types will work together to ensure that we can continually refine the training process while also measuring its effectiveness in achieving long-term business goals. Evaluation within the company's standard operating procedures. Regular monitoring is essential to ensure that the evaluation process is ongoing. This includes tracking performance continuously after training sessions with established checkpoints to assess how well employees are applying what they've learned. Data collection and analysis are vital parts of the evaluation process. By gathering data through surveys, interviews, and feedback forms, we can identify patterns, strengths, and areas where employees may still need support. This information will allow us to make data-driven decisions and identify improvement opportunities for future training programs. Stakeholders. Involvement is crucial for the evaluation process to be successful. By involving key stakeholders, such as supervisors, department heads, and even customers, we ensure that the evaluation covers all relevant perspectives. Stakeholders' feedback will not just be used for assessments, but also refine and improve future training efforts. Data-driven decision-making, a central element in successful integrating evaluation into the company's SOPs. First, we will discuss tracking training effectiveness. It's important to not just measure employee performance, but also how effectively they're applying the skills they've learned in the workplace. Using both quantitative data and qualitative data provides a more complete picture of the training success. Next, we'll examine how to link data to organizational goals by ensuring that training outcomes are tied to broader company objectives. We will track whether the training is helping macro enterprises achieve its goals. If any gaps are identified, they provide an opportunity for strategic adjustments to the training programs. Lastly, continuous feedback loops will ensure that the evaluation process remains dynamic. Regular feedback helps ensure that training programs are continuously updated and refined based on the latest data and employee input, which makes the entire process more effective in the long run. Evaluating organizational impact, where we look at how the effectiveness of training can be measured at the broader organizational level. First, we'll focus on aligning evaluation with organizational needs. Keep